She walked into the grand hall expecting to celebrate his success, but instead, she left realizing she had forgotten her own worth. What happened that night changed everything, not just for her, but for every person watching. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Black Inside 2.0 for more emotional, eye-opening stories that touch the heart and awaken the soul. Aisha stood at the edge of the ballroom, her hands clasped in front of her blue satin gown, staring at the man she had vowed to spend her life with. The chandelier sparkled above her like hundreds of tiny promises she once believed in. The velvet curtains, golden and heavy, framed the celebration like a royal portrait. But she didn't feel royal. She didn't feel celebrated. She felt misplaced. Malik, her husband, stood at the center of the room, a microphone in one hand and a glass of champagne in the other. His burgundy velvet jacket fit him perfectly, just as the role he played fit him perfectly. Charming host, brilliant entrepreneur, the man who had built a luxury hotel from nothing. Well, not exactly nothing. Aisha knew what she had poured into this dream: late nights, early mornings, quiet sacrifices, and louder prayers. But in a place filled with applause, she stood unnoticed. People admired her husband, the successful one, the visionary, yet they didn't see her bruised confidence, her fading joy, her tired smile. Tonight was supposed to be the celebration of their shared journey, but everything felt painfully one-sided. The announcement that broke the room. "Ladies and gentlemen," Malik declared with a dazzling smile, "thank you for joining us at the grand opening of our hotel." "Our hotel," Aisha repeated in her mind, but she felt invisible. Malik continued, "This entire place is a symbol of hard work, discipline, and commitment." And speaking of commitment, he turned toward Aisha, one hand extended dramatically, as guests glanced between them with curiosity. She took a step forward, her heart gently thumping. Maybe, just maybe, he would finally acknowledge her contribution. Maybe he'd thank her, honor her, see her. But instead, his words sliced the air with elegance yet hit her with quiet humiliation. "Aisha will now handle the first demonstration of our staff hospitality process," he announced proudly. "She'll show you how our service team will maintain the kitchenware, starting with the dishwashing standards." Aisha blinked, smiles softened into confusion. The room shifted, a strange silence rippled across the crowd. Dishwashing, her, right now, in this gown, she wasn't staff. She wasn't a symbolic demonstration. She was his wife. Aisha's cheeks burned, but she held her posture. She had learned long ago that dignity didn't require comfort. He thought it was harmless. He thought people would laugh warmly and admire her humility. But the laughter didn't come. Not from her, not from anyone. Instead, the guests exchanged uncomfortable glances. A woman in a green gown covered her mouth in disbelief. An elderly man shook his head slowly. Some whispered, some simply stared. Aisha felt the weight of 1,000 eyes, but none felt heavier than her husband's expectation. He thought she would step forward. He thought she would comply. He thought she would smile. Because she always did. But tonight, she couldn't. The heart that could not pretend. Aisha inhaled, steadying herself. "Malik," she said softly, her voice trembling but controlled. "Is this really what you want me to do right now?" His smile faltered, a subtle crack. "It's just a demonstration. Don't be sensitive," he whispered into the mic without realizing everyone heard him. The whisper echoed louder than any shout. Aisha's heart sank. "Don't be sensitive." The phrase had followed her through the years like a shadow. Whenever she felt unheard, unseen, overlooked, the words erased her feelings as though they were nothing but dust. She swallowed her pain and looked around at the guests, people she barely knew yet who suddenly seemed to understand her more than her own husband did. And then something else happened. Someone stepped forward. Mrs. Daniels, the elderly hotel investor, slowly walked to Aisha's side and gently touched her hand. Her eyes were soft, wise, full of understanding. "My dear," she whispered, "this is not your place tonight." Aisha's lips parted as tears pressed behind her lashes. Another guest joined, then another, and soon the entire room was no longer watching her. They were standing with her. Malik noticed the shift. His confidence wavered. "Aisha, come on," he said with a forced smile. "Don't make this dramatic." But she wasn't making anything dramatic. She was simply no longer shrinking herself to fit someone else's comfort. The truth she finally spoke. Aisha turned to Malik, her voice steady, her spine straight. "Malik, I have supported you through every blueprint, every loan rejection, every failure, and every small victory," she began. "I helped build this dream. I helped build you, and yet, somewhere along the way, you forgot to respect me." The microphone picked up her words, the room held its breath. You shine under these lights, she continued, but I have been dimming myself so you could feel brighter. Whispers swirled again. Malik exhaled sharply. This is not the place, he started. It never is, she interrupted gently. There's never a right place for my feelings, is there? That's why today, for the first time, I will create the place myself. The guests watched silently, not judging but absorbing. Aisha felt her strength rise like sunrise after a long storm. I am not here to wash dishes in a gown I bought to celebrate us, she said softly. I am here to reclaim the version of me I lost along the way. Malik's expression softened, guilt flickered across his face. Aisha, I didn't mean. I know, she said. The problem is, you didn't mean to hurt me. But you didn't mean to honor me either. The regret that could not be hidden. Malik lowered the mic, his shoulders slumped. The weight of the moment finally reached him, not because of the audience, but because he saw something in Aisha he hadn't seen in years, her truth. She wasn't breaking down, she wasn't fleeting, she wasn't attacking, she was simply standing, and somehow, that shook him more deeply than any argument they'd ever had. He stepped closer. Aisha, please, let's talk privately, he whispered, but she shook her head gently. For years, privacy meant silence. Tonight, silence is no longer something I can carry. Malik's throat tightened. He had expected applause, admiration, control. Instead, he faced himself. And the most uncomfortable thing in the world is meeting the version of yourself reflected through someone you've taken for granted. The walk away that wasn't a goodbye. Aisha turned to the audience with a serene smile, not embarrassed but liberated. Thank you, she said softly, for witnessing not my humiliation but my awakening. The guests nodded respectfully. Aisha walked past Malik toward the exit. Her steps were graceful, steady, each one reclaiming a piece of her spirit. Malik watched helplessly as she left the ballroom. He reached out but didn't touch her. He had touched her without listening for too many years. Tonight wasn't the moment to pull her back. It was the moment to learn. The doors closed behind her, and the silence she left behind was louder than any music. Her peace, his realization. Outside, the ballroom, Aisha inhaled deeply. The night air felt cool, cleansing, gentle. It wrapped around her like the comfort she had been craving. She didn't know what tomorrow held. A conversation, a break, a beginning, an ending, but what she did know was this. Tonight, she remembered who she was. Inside, Malik remained frozen. Mrs. Daniels approached him, her voice quiet but firm. You build a hotel, she said, but she built the foundation of the man who built it. Don't forget that. Malik swallowed hard. Regret settled into his chest like a stone. For the first time, he realized he hadn't just risked losing his wife's support. He had risked losing his partner, his anchor, his compass. The next morning, Aisha sat on the hotel suite balcony, watching the sunrise. The city glowed with early morning light, soft and golden. She wrapped her hands around a warm cup of tea. And then, softly, there was a knock. Malik stood at the door, not in a suit or polished shoes, but in a simple shirt. No performance, no charm, just a man holding the weight of his own choices. He approached slowly. Aisha, he said, I'm sorry. She didn't answer immediately. She let the quiet settle between them. I didn't honor you, Malik continued. I didn't see you. I didn't listen. And last night, I realized how deeply I took your heart for granted. Aisha's eyes softened, but she remained composed. I don't need perfection, she said gently. I only ever needed partnership. Malik nodded, his voice trembling. I want to earn that again. I want to learn how to be better, not for the world, but for us. Aisha exhaled. I'm willing to talk, she said. But we move at my pace now. Respect begins with slowing down. Malik accepted her words with humility. For the first time in years, they stood as equals. The aftermath, the hotel opening gained attention, not because of scandal, but because of the heartfelt message that emerged afterward. Guests whispered that they had witnessed something rare, a public reminder that success means nothing if respect is absent. Aisha became known not as the hotel owner's wife, but as a woman of dignity and quiet strength. And Malik, he learned the most important lesson of his life. A partner is not someone who stands behind you. A partner is someone you stand beside. The new beginning. Months later, Malik introduced a new program at the hotel, one that focused on staff well-being, emotional intelligence, and relationship-driven leadership. He credited Aisha for the inspiration publicly, not performatively, not superficially, but sincerely. Aisha didn't need the attention, but she appreciated the growth. Their marriage wasn't magically perfect, but it was healing, slowly, honestly, and sometimes, healing begins not with forgiveness, but with being seen. Final message: in life, respect is not measured by grand gestures, but by everyday moments where you choose kindness over pride, understanding over ego, and partnership over control. Aisha didn't walk away to hurt him. She walked away to find herself. And in doing so, she helped both of them grow. Don't forget to subscribe to Black Inside 2.0 for more emotional, human-centered stories that speak to the heart.